SQR podcast, Score Rosenberg kicking back. My guest tonight is the one and only REDFOX, the original REDFOX, straight from Yard. Want my youth? Respect, come get some of this. Big up, big up, big up. Yo, sit down, my youth. SQR podcast tonight is another epic show, ladies and gentlemen. Straight from Yard. Good vibes, the original REDFOX. Tonight's podcast is going to be straight. The Jamaica connection is official. A lot of Jamaican idiosyncrasies are going to come out tonight because I'm blessed to have my boy REDFOX here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, you're in for a treat. We're going to slice his life up, get to the meat of the matter, enjoy some of this classic music. Once again, REDFOX, SQR podcast, Score Rosenberg. Stay tuned. One. Yes. SQR podcast. Score Rosenberg, my boy REDFOX, as we get rid of the crapping on this another epic podcast. I just gotta let this marinate in the backyard. Sky Larkin. Yeah. My dude. Wow. Marinating up. My boy A.T. Jones on the back, tickling that rolling. SQR podcast as we cracking tonight. Tonight's another epic podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here. It is going to be a muy, let me just drop the Spanish and go yard style. Tonight, the podcast mash up. My boys were in the house, REDFOX, but you know how I normally start the show. Let me just slow down, take things back into control. Everybody that's in the house tonight, I want to give a big shout out to everybody that's here. Shout out to Manny on the camera. Thank you so much for holding us down. Big shout out to Lou, my boy holding us down. Charles, yo, making sure these guys make sure everything is muy bueno on the camera right now. Of course, the new addition to the team, my boy A.T. Jones. Thank you so much, bro. Big, tickling us on the key, let's rolling. So the SQR podcast movement is just growing organically, and that's what it's about. And as we get ready to crack into the guest, I want to big up a couple people that were privileged to be in the house tonight to witness this podcast. I want to take this moment to give a big shout out to my boy Max in the back. Thank you so much, bro. Bong. Big shout out to my boy Cheese. Thank you so much. Yo, family members, and of course Carol, thank you so much for popping in and just giving us your presence. Thank you so much. Big Ellie holding us down on the sound and playing multiple jobs. Thank you so much. It's a team effort that makes this happen. So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, as I says, enough with the Spanish talk, enough with the French talk. It's spear oxtail and curry goat time. You know what I mean? Porridge and thing. My boy REDFOX is in the house tonight. Straight from Yard. Book. Yo, pleasure, bro. Respect. We can't even start the podcast without doing this thing right. Our sponsor Heineken would be amiss if I didn't do this right. So do me a favor, reach open that fridge behind you right there. Yeah. And, we have the double zeros, which are alcohol free, but I know you want a regular Heine. So grab a regular Heine, pass it over here. Let me open it up for you real quick. Everything is nice. But I got to tell you, the non-alcoholic to 0.0, you're just as amazing, bro. Yeah, so why don't you have this? Let's do this toast to your presence, my youth. Respect. Yeah. SQR podcast, Score Rosenberg. My boy REDFOX is in the house tonight. And if we were to recap and let people know how we connected, it would be pretty interesting. And before we even jump into your story, I need to discuss that because it was through the divine connection of a very close friend, Andrea Wright, who R.I.P. Let's lift the Heinekens up and toast to her. For real. A sister. Yeah, man. Andrea, I miss you. Yeah, man. Rest in peace. I miss you. Yeah. R.I.P. sis. But Andrea was the conduit for us connecting, and there was just this organic connection that we had, and we knew we were going to do something, and we kept in touch, and now you're here at my podcast sharing your story. A veteran in the reggae industry. Give thanks. My God, when you told me you were coming through, I told the crew, tonight's going to be nice. So yes, let's just do this. That's it. REDFOX, reggae artist, father, husband, friend. My youth, I want to go back to, because I know a lot of people know you and know the cuts, but they probably don't know the struggles and where you come from and the background. So let's dissect this. Born and grew up in Jamaica.
I was born in St. Andrew, and then from there I moved to Portmore. From Portmore I went to this little district. It's called Brownsall in St. Catherine. Okay. It's like way up way up in the hills of St. Catherine.
Browns Hall.
Yeah, really country. Yeah.
So
yeah.
when you before you went through those journeys, leaving from St. Andrew to Portmore, right?
Yes, Portmore. Yeah.
Because I used to live in Portmore, my old.
Same.
I used to live in Portmore, so
Yeah.
I know the bus past the causeway.
Yes.
Coming out Kingston.
Yeah.
I know the routine.
Yeah, man.
What was before you moved, you were with what was the family makeup like? Mom, dad, brothers, sisters. What was that dynamic like?
Well, in Portmore, I was just probably 3-4 years old. My mother already migrated to the United States, and my father at that point took me to the country. That's how I got in the country, because he was left with all 4 children, and he went to the country to drop us off, and in chase of my mother here in the States. So he left us there for a while.
Who were you left with?
My grandparents.
So let's just dissect this real quick, because a lot of people understand, when you think Jamaica, everybody think country, but
Right.
people from Kingston are,
Right.
they call
Right,
Kingston
right,
town,
right.
and anything outside of Kingston, they call it country.
Right. Well, it's like New York, Alabama.
Yeah.
To put it in another word,
Yeah,
So
true.
I was like in Tuskegee, Alabama.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what was the transition like for you?
It was really tough because, as I said, there was no mother around, and being in the country with my grandparents, I didn't really know them, and my father wasn't there either. So you just kind of found yourself wake up one morning and you see these 2 old people taking care of you, and you had no idea what was taking place. So you're just crying, just because no mother, no dad. So that's how I got started there in the country. So it was quite tough to transition.
Wow.
Yeah.
So funny, and I respect you for being so honest.
Yeah, man.
In that feeling.
Yeah.
For real, because certain, especially coming from Jamaica and this whole, man for strong and man,
Yeah.
we feel, especially as a young kid, where you're expecting mom to be there.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, if you don't mind poking, looking back now,
Yeah.
do you know why mom wasn't there?
Well, my mother, I like to reason with her. She's alive today, and I like to tell her, what went on, because she left home at 17 years old. And she was like the darkest of all the siblings, all of her siblings.
When you say the darkest, what do you mean?
Dark skin.
In terms of complexion?
Instead of complexion. And during those days in Jamaica, to be very dark is to not be a good person. That's how they used to look at you. Like anything too black is not good. That's what was said during those days. So when you have a very dark child, you will more probably push the lighter children, thinking that they will get better opportunities, and the darker ones will you kind of pretty much keep them at home and figure something else for them.
Wow.
So with my mother, I think she felt like she was being not really truly finding herself and her worth. So she kind of left home at 17 years old and found my father, who partially look white. That's why I look like this. Right, so she found a guy that looks partially white, and this was like a trophy during those days. You know what I mean? So getting involved with someone for the wrong reasons is not going to last very long. So whatever argument or whatever took place during that time, she probably she was married by 19 years old. She had me by the age of 26. She had 4 children by the age of 26. Wow. So she kind of just ran to the States and probably was just looking for a
new beginning.
Trying to find herself somehow. That's how I look at it.
Oh, I respect that. that. By the way, what's her name?
Sonia.
You want to big up Sonia real quick?
Yeah, big up Sonia.
Let's give a big toast to Sonia.
Cheers to mom.
Yeah, for real. Cheers to Sonia.
Yeah.
As we enjoy these Heinekens over this conversation.
Yeah.
And the reason why I asked you to go back, because, as our guests are listening to this podcast, there's somebody who went through something similar.
Right.
Or somebody who's going through something like this. And understanding.
That.
And I salute you, because it seems as if you gave you're now seeing things a little bit through your mom's lens.
Right.
Yes. To be able to appreciate that without holding any animosity, because that waking up in that grandparents' home, where's mom, where's dad?
Right.
So let's just slow this down. Where did you go to primary school or elementary school?
Well, dad was supposed to return but he didn't because he died. So I was like about 5 when he died, and so I was looking forward to come to America at that time. So our chances to come to America was like completely like, all right, so what we're gonna do now? So start going to school, in the country. So I went to Brownsall Primary, and one morning, my school was right directly across from where I lived.
Oh, sweet.
So all I would do was just walk across the street. But one morning I saw a kid walking up the street in his khaki, we wear khaki uniform. I wanted to know where he was going. So I followed him. So I ended up in this elementary school and they kept me up there, So they, they were laughing. I couldn't understand why they were laughing, but
you're supposed to go right across the street.
Yeah, and I went to another school, and they kind of just kept me there for a while, and then I went back to the primary school.
What a story!
It's interesting.
Wow, wow. Yeah. So you're navigating these waters. Your siblings are with you at this time.
Yes, my 2 sisters and my brother already migrated with my father. My father took him when he was coming up, so it was just my 2 sisters at the time, and my cousin. And I have a yard full of people, like about 8, 9 people.
So can I ask you this as we get ready to close out of this segment?
Yeah.
Looking back on those years, those crucial years with you, is there anything that you can remember that you think that made an impact on you now?
I mean, basically everything, because, the way I am today, I would consider myself to be a person that can deal with a lot of pressure, a lot of situations. I really do not worry much because, I had a rough start and I somehow, by the grace of God, figured out to get past that, and the fact that I was able to get past that, I felt like I've been through the worst. Today, I keep smiling because of that type of life,
SQR podcast called Rosenberg, my boy REDFOX, dropping jewels. When you say something profound, we call it dropping a jewel. And just getting all through, what he experienced at a young age and how it made him stronger right now. We're going to take a quick break, come back, jump into this. We have a quick treat for you. Our Just for Fun animation section to the SQR Pro Studio is coming up. Check this out, ladies and gentlemen. You're in for a treat. SQR podcast, REDFOX, Just for Fun creation coming up. 1.
Big up on yourself, yeah? I beg you know. Like the thing, share the thing, and subscribe to the thing. You see me? And about that try style the thing. Yo, make them go and watch the thing now.
Hello, nice lady. I have pineapple and strawberry. I'm set up, big man.
Oh, I said, you don't have fruit punch?
Yeah, me not just big strawberry and pineapple, man.
No, that's regular fruit punch, like, yeah?
Yo, big man, giant sire. Yo, that boy bigger English that.
Look like I am, yes. Yo, bigger here.
Bong. SQR podcast, Score Rosenberg, my boy A.T. Jones on that roll and tickling us in on this, great podcast and an opportunity that we've always wanted to sit down with my boy REDFOX. Thanks again for being in the studio, my
dude.
Love,
give thanks.
And for dissecting this interesting, by the way, A.T., don't think I don't hear you sneaking in that Bob Marley. What I'm saying? This is a message to SQR podcast. Appear talented people around us right now. Thank you, my yo.
Nice.
As we get ready to crack into your story, my dude, I wanted to thank you for being aware and forgiving with your mom.
Same.
And expressing that.
Right.
Because I went to church like 2 weeks ago and the pastor was talking about forgiveness, and one of the things he said that stuck with me is like, forgiving is giving up the right to hurt somebody who has hurt you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
Same.
I can understand as a little boy growing up where mom should have been there and she wasn't.
Right.
Now that you're older, you're able to say, you know what? I understand and appreciate that and can move on.
Yes.
So as we dissect the life of REDFOX coming up, the primary school, growing up, when did you go to high school in Jamaica?
Yes, I went to St. Catherine High School. That's in Spanish Town.
What was that like?
It was really interesting because, growing up in the country from like about, 4 to the age of 10, because I went to high school at 10 years old. So when I got to the city, I was like, I was looking for this because I was waiting. I didn't feel like I belonged to the country. the whole time in the country, I know the country is not my thing, but somehow, little by little, so when I got to St. Catherine High School, it was, it's a big, massive high school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when I got there was like kids from Portmore, there was kids from Spanish Town, so I was being like, introduced to different people outside of the country, so for me, it was really like, I felt alive.
Could you remember your first day going to high school?
Yeah.
Because not enough time as a Jamaican, when you go to high school, maybe you have some of your brethren them with you.
Yeah.
But it sounded like you were solo on this run.
Yes, I remember quite well, because I was by myself most of the time because grandma was just old.
Yeah.
And, so when you're getting whatever you need to go through, the orientation, all these different things, I was doing everything on my own. And I was just 10 years old. I remember even a teacher looking at me and say, "You going to high school?" Because I was so small, you know what I mean? I was 10 and I was like this little kid and they couldn't believe that I belong in high school,
Right.
Yeah, so it was very exciting for me at the same time though.
Can I ask you this? Sometimes because I remember going to high school in Jamaica, and I went to Manchester High School, and them said when you go first grade, them go grub you.
Yeah, pluck your nose.
You went through that?
Well, I wasn't the person to mess with. Put it like that. You know what I mean? There was a few guys who said, "Come here, grub," and I answered them back in a very, very particular way that made them just stand off. I was no joke as a little kid.
Oh, respect.
Yeah, I will fight you instantly.
Where do you think that came from?
It came from going to the country when I was about 4 or 5. I was the reddest kid in the community, being very light complexion. Everybody took a set on me.
Okay.
They were like, telling me red is corruption. I remind them of their oppressors, so I had to beat up a few. You know what I mean? Yeah, I had to beat up a few before I was accepted. I had to fight my way in.
Wow.
To be
because of your complexion.
Yes, to become one of them, I had to fight my way in. But, I was just born with that.
Do you so growing up to high school, when, and I'm trying to get to the point, when did the music and the REDFOX, by the way, where did the nickname REDFOX, because I know you weren't born with REDFOX. When did that come into play?
Well, all right, so it was, there was another light-skinned kid in the country, so we both started hanging with each other because when you saw a light-skinned kid, you felt like, all right, he look like me, I'm not ugly, because they used to tell me I'm ugly. Them tell me I'm look like banana, my face specky like banana, freckles, you know what I mean? So I was going through it, you know what I mean? So Yellow Man was raining at the time, and I was singing a Yellow Man song because my soul remind me of myself. Yeah, so I'm singing Yellow Man. I feel liberated because everybody's talking about Yellow Man.
He was big.
Yeah, and they began to call me Yellow. So I start singing his songs, and then one day I twisted and put my own lyrics, and I felt really excited about what I did. So I tell my friend, my other light-skinned friend Gibbs, look what I did. And then he started to compete with me at the time, and that's when I really got interested because he knew all of General Echo lyrics. That was the guy before Yellow Man who actually inspired Yellow Man.
Yeah.
So he was using the guy who inspired Yellow Man and killed me today with lyrics, So I went back to high school and I began writing. So
just to battle.
Yeah,
Gibbs.
to battle and to get my chops up. So I started to write, and then I used to go to the Spanish Town bus terminus to catch the bus. So we used to go to the bar because you was allowed in bars as a kid.
Of course, Jamaica take this. So you can walk it.
Yeah, so we went to the bar and there was a jukebox, and we punched the instrumental of whatever beat we like. So if the song was like Half Pint, that You Gotta Be Crazy.
Yeah.
So I used to punch the instrumental to You Gotta Be Crazy, and we start rapping over that. And then there was this guy who came in one day and wanted to compete. So he was he started off slow. So we're killing him, killing him, but he used his brain. And then he saved his best stuff for last. And then when we were all out, he just started throwing missiles, So I was like, man. So when he crushed us that day, I said, I have to battle back this guy. So I went to his school, which was Jonathan Grant. That was by De La Vega in Spanish Town.
Okay.
And when I went there, somebody said, REDFOX. So I looked back, and he was talking to me, but I wasn't called REDFOX at the time, but this is just the name that he just came up with for me. So I told my friend that I was hanging with at the time that, hey, I like that. Call me REDFOX. So he was like, nah, it's not gonna stick. I said, call me REDFOX. So the school kept a barbecue.
Yeah.
And, my friend put me on the show. And then I performed as REDFOX, and I did so well that the next day I was a superstar in my school.
What?
Yeah. And
Big up yourself, my
yeah.
youth. Thank you for sharing that story.
Bless
Yo,
it.
wow.
Yeah.
SQR podcast. The squirrel and the fox.
Squirrel and the
The
fox.
squirrel
yeah.
and the fox at the
Yeah,
table. Yo,
right.
that was so. Yo, thank you for sharing that, my youth.
Give thanks.
So the guy so let me just slow this down because there's a lot of Jamaicans out there watching this who don't even know this.
Right.
So let me slow this down. So the guy who you battled,
Punk Buster, that's his name.
Punk Buster.
Yes.
And you know who I want to give props up to as I'm hearing this story? You're at a light skinned banana looking friend. What's his name? Gibbs. I want to give big because whether Gibbs knew it back then, but iron sharpen iron.
Right.
Jewel on Score Rosenberg podcast.
Right.
So you and your one other friend
Yes.
sharpening each other
Yes.
until you met Punk Buster.
Right.
My God, what a classic name. Straight
Right.
Jamaican.
Right.
That's one thing.
I've never seen him ever since. It's almost like
he was supposed to play that role in your life.
That's what I think. I have to be that because I don't know where he is on this
So
earth.
Punk Buster is the
Yeah.
same guy that gave you the name REDFOX.
Yes. The same guy who crushed me in the competition is who gave me the name.
Wow.
Yeah.
SQR podcast, Score Rosenberg. Wow.
Yeah.
So now your first show, the barbecue.
Yes.
You see, one thing about this show is I slow things down
Nice.
because this slow down at the gravy and the spice. You know
Yeah,
what I
man,
mean?
yeah, man.
So you say, you get for the show, you get a barbecue, you get the high school hold a barbecue, and you're performing.
Yes.
Do you remember what you performed, or was it some original stuff, or did you sing over?
All original stuff, man. The principal name was Miss Anderson, which we call Miss Andy. So when I went on stage, I went with my other friend, Boomerangs. Both of us were like, artists writing together and stuff like that. So he was the one who actually put me on the show. He was playing manager and artist at the same time.
Yeah.
So when I got on the stage, because whenever I get on the stage, I remind people of Yellow Man, there's an automatic, massive reception, right? But what happened is, that show was the day I discovered that I had a very deep voice. I had no idea, because I watched Shaka Demus when, before he even got popular. I watched him on a sound called Class 1 with Eddie Fitzroy.
Yeah, yes.
And his voice was like, not tell him I mean, name Shaka, yes! And I found it very, amazing the way he sound.
Dude, that was official. You just did that. Right? Yeah.
And he was electrifying.
Yeah.
So when I went back to school, I kept not tell him I mean, and I kept training my voice. So when I went on the microphone at the barbecue,
That's what came out.
And I was like, I even took a step back myself because the place was going crazy, but I was like, I've never been on a microphone to hear my voice like that before. And, I sang a song, said, I get an invitation from Miss Sandy to come and some police academy, because we were doing the show at the police academy in the Spanish Town, and the place was just erupting. Whatever I did, I couldn't go wrong. And on top of that, my biggest idol at the time was, besides Yellow Man, was standing there in the crowd because his girlfriend went to my school, which was Papa San.
What? Mm-hmm. The Papa San?
The Papa San. And I have a picture of the night. Yeah, still have a picture of that night.
Epic.
Yeah.
You see, if I didn't slow you down and go through that walk, look like another miss.
Right.
SQR podcast, Score Rosenberg, my boy REDFOX.
Yeah.
Incredible podcast as we dissect this journey. And I'm glad I'm taking a chance to go through this slowly, because what I'm getting is what I want to get.
Respect.
You know what I mean? Because I want people to understand the journey, the ostracizing that you went through and the way you own it.
Give thanks.
Big shout out, the Squirrel and the Fox, SQR podcast. We're going to take a quick break, come back. After this, crack into the rest of the journey and what he's doing right now. SQR podcast, Score Rosenberg Radio. My boy, REDFOX. Another treat coming up for you, just for fun, coming up shortly. Stay tuned.
Take care. You're going like saying I don't know. Say, me name Ganga, aka Cheese Chicks, aka Bad News, aka Mr. Arms House. What you talk about? Only thing I shake at the blood class scrap metal, you know. $250,000 water if you're down for the works. Why? $250,000 sound nice, no blood clot.
But I hope it is real this time, my love.
Got a ringing on this one. Classic. Big up. SQR podcast, Scott Rosenberg rocking in on the third segment with my boy REDFOX. Yo, I gotta let this joint play.
See?
You remember writing this joint?
Well, this was Shaggy, Golden Child, and myself. Yes.
Let it rock. My boy, right the rhythm well.
Good dance.
Big tune. And my boy A.T. Jones is tickling those keys. SQR podcast, Scott Rosenberg, my boy REDFOX, over this classic joint, a compilation with Shaggy.
Right, and Golden Child.
And oh man, classic reggae, yo. As we ready to kick back and finish dissecting my boy's journey, you know, I'm honored and blessed to have my guy REDFOX at the table with me. Yes, and for those who are wondering, you know, which kind of REDFOX I'm talking about, I'm talking about the original REDFOX. So you got the fox and the squirrel at the table right now.
Respect.
Guys, you're welcome. As we get ready to finish your journey, we tackled, you know, going through high school.
Yes.
Being named REDFOX.
Right.
And what's so funny, as comical and as casual as you made the experience be, the racial crap that you had to deal with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even where, you know, from Jamaica, where our motto is out of many one people.
Right.
But that still racial divide is evident.
Yeah.
And you experienced that growing up, and
Yeah.
it made you stronger, better. And,
Yes.
you know, so as we found out how the name REDFOX came into play, now we're moving on. You're finishing up high school, and by the time you get ready to graduate high school, I'm pretty sure the name is solidified. Your role with music is solidified.
Right.
That voice is known.
Right.
What was your move right after high school?
Brooklyn.
You finally made it to the U.S.
Yes. As soon as I graduated, my papers came through for me to migrate. Because at that time, I actually gave up. I actually was like thinking about becoming a jockey. You know, like my friends were telling me to go try out at the stable, so I went
To really be a racehorse jockey.
Yeah, because, you know, I was very short. I was like 80 pounds at the time, and there was like, you know, maybe you should, you know, try to see if the trainer would take you in. And, you know, he really liked what he saw, you know, because I was a high school graduate.
Okay.
I was like 5 feet at the time, 80 pounds, and he was really, really excited. But right away my papers came.
In Brooklyn, you landed.
And I landed in Brooklyn.
So my youth, let's do this slowly. As a yard youth, never left yard before.
Right.
Land of Brooklyn.
Yeah.
What season was it at the time?
It was summer.
How was it?
It was strange, you know. For me, it was very strange, you know, because I was a teenager. I was a young teenager, and you know, I came in August. Like I think I came 2 days after my birthday, and
Which is
August 13th is my birthday, and I landed August 15th.
okay.
Yeah, I remember quite clear, you know. So it was just very strange because we heard so much things about the United States. We thought that the streets were lined with gold, you know what I mean? So when I got, when we were landing, I landed at night. So the place was really beautiful. There was so much lights. So it made a lot of sense to me that this place is like amazing. So, you know, took the drive to Brooklyn from Kennedy, and when we got to the building, I was like, something gotta be wrong, you know, because I was living by Nostrand between J and K. So when we got into the building, you know, I began to look around and didn't look as, you know,
Beautiful as you thought.
beautiful as I thought it would be. And then they took me to this apartment, and that was it. I was like caged up in this 2-bedroom apartment, and I'm like, this is it, you know what I mean? Like, you know, because I'm coming from a house and yard
And
outside and
space.
space, and
Yeah.
then now you got me all cooped up in a place. It was really quite strange for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So now, teenager growing up in Brooklyn, got your feet wet.
Yeah.
You know, start learning around. You brought the music energy with you. How did you infiltrate the U.S. market and the U.S. Vibe to really start getting your music thing on the scene?
Yeah, well, I went to a high school called New Utrecht High School in Bensonhurst, right? And during that time, there was some, I was going to school for like 2 months without knowing anyone. So I was pretty bored. So I decided to make friends with someone.
Yeah.
So I saw this guy, he had red, green, and gold, red, yellow, and,
Yeah. You're Jamaican. We always got some loud colors
yeah,
going
yeah,
on. We
yeah.
represent the loud colors.
So
I know that.
he had the Ethiopian colors on his hat. So, to me, he struck me as a Jamaican. So he struck me as a Jamaican. So I went to him, and at the time I was smoking, so I asked him for a light in Jamaican to see if he would respond to me in Jamaican. So he did. So I said, "Oh, you're a yardie." So he says, "Yeah." So I told him that I've been here for 2 months and I don't know anyone and stuff like that. So he was like, "Oh," and then some other Jamaican guys came. So he introduced me to them, and by I was kind of had a little crew there going on, so. There was a sound clash, but before I even get to the sound clash, I was going up in the elevator in my building, right? And then there was 2 Jamaican guys that was living on the 4th floor. I was living on the 5th floor. And I told them that, I sing, I write lyrics and stuff, but I don't think they took me very serious. So I was in the elevator and I heard music playing coming from their floor.
And yard music.
Yard music. And they were actually DJing live, they were singing live.
Okay.
And then I heard somebody like, "Wheel," So I said, "Oh, they're singing." So I stopped the elevator and I came out and, went into the apartment and they were doing their thing.
Yeah.
So I asked them to give me a shot. And when they heard me, because, I was writing lyrics before I came, so I had like tons of lyrics. So they thought I was probably the most amazing thing they've ever heard.
They're trying it and you're doing it.
Right. They were really shocked. They were really shocked. They were really excited too. They was like, thinking about all the things they're going to do with me. Like they're going to make me clash with all these people and they're going to let me mash up everybody.
Wow.
So, they were, so they took me to my first party. And, they got me the mic and I sang and the place erupted and, gunshots fired that night. We had to run and get flat and I was like, "Welcome to Brooklyn" type of thing, what I mean? So after that, I was involved in a clash to compete. And the guys that I was going to compete against was the same guys I were hanging out with in high school. So we went to this party in Van Dyke's Club in Brooklyn and, we clashed there and I went to their sound eventually because they weren't trying to give me the mic on the sound that I came because I did so well, but they didn't want to give me back the mic. So the guys, they knew me from high school, so they said, "Come over to our sound system." So I started singing for them. And then
Do you remember the name of that sound system?
LP International. They're still a big sound today. They're a massive sound today. Like a killing machine today.
Can we just toast to LP International?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, big.
Big up Puma. Yeah, so, we used to send the cassettes that I used to rehearse to a producer. And one day the producer decided to take me to studio. And then I went to Philip Smart Studio. That's HCNF Studio in Long Island. And when I went there, they gave me the Diseases rhythm. I don't know if you remember that rhythm. The Diseases rhythm is an old rhythm that Michigan and Smiley was on. Because every day the girl just up in her trousers.
Yes, Diseases. I remember that rhythm. Yeah.
And then I sang this song called "Come Boogie Down, yeah, come boogie down, come boogie." Yeah, and it became a hit like locally, like a big hit locally. I was actually shocked, so that's how I got started.
Which is written, performed exclusively by you.
Well, I'm not gonna say totally written by me because
I respect that.
Because Boomerangs that in high school we were together. Because I came to the States, I had my lyrics and I had his lyrics. I was like, I'm gonna kill everybody. I got my lyrics, I got his lyrics, and you'll never know that I'm singing his lyrics in the United States. So anyway, you know, he had these lyrics that he wrote, you know, back in school, where he said, stand up, and I no sit down, me sit down. Roll me back a yard, me yan my Joe. So, you know, I had that lyrics, and then I put a hook line on it. So I gave it a hook line, come boogie down, and then, you know, it became this big song.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
I love hearing the history of how you stitch things together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the creativeness and thinking on your feet, actually, because everybody else during that elevator ride would have kept going into their apartment.
No, I mean, I was already on a mission. SQR
podcast called Rosenberg. My boy REDFOX dropping a jewel. You remember I told you, when you say something profound on this show, we call it dropping a jewel. And as a young youth, you were on a mission.
Yes, I was on a mission for sure. You know what I mean? From a very early age, I knew that I wanted to do music.
So let's fast forward. So now it seems like the confidence is through the roof because you're getting some good response. You know, you're writing, you know exactly what's going on. I want to find out your break into the record label that signed you, that started pushing you out.
Well, you know, after doing the record Pose Off with Screechy Dan, our record got very hot. And my booking agent was also my manager, and he was also booking for Shabba Rankin and Supercat. So what he will do, whatever show people come for Shabba Rankin or for Supercat, he will make sure that REDFOX is on that bill. And then he'll tell me to destroy them. I'm just being honest.
SQR podcast. Yo, hold up. Yo, stick a pin right there, my youth. Stick a pin right there. I got to take this break. I want to come back. And I want you to go back in right there and tell me your first show you did with them on the set. All right?
Okay.
SQR podcast. My boy, SQR. My boy, REDFOX. Wrapping up this third segment. I'm going to come back and hear about this murder clash that you pulled up by your manager. My boy, REDFOX, SQR podcast, called Rosenberg. Stay tuned. One.
No life fish and bammy. Hell shall we dey a whole a wine pan body. Bumper fat up, not even mention glammy. See my face. Say them a go tired for see my face. Them can't get me out the race. Yes, them a go tired for see my face. Yo, select play the music, make the dance get lively. Boom tune a bus and everybody feel irie. She said she love me, so she said she gonna tag along. To the love you never got to run left from me road. Then I tell me something got the real man a man.
SQR podcast called Rosenberg as we get ready to, you know, and I hate not having to take more time as we go through this.
Same.
You know, but I lay everything out where I can get to get through my guest and slow things down and get some jewels in a convenient amount of time.
Same.
But what that means is, as we get ready to go into your fourth segment with my boy REDFOX, I wanted to get up to, you know, the signing with the U.S. label.
Right.
And you were sharing that experience.
Right.
So your manager, pick up from there.
Yeah, so, you know, my manager, as I said before, you know, a booking agent. So he was booking all the rappers too. He was booking all the black acts at Famous Artist Agency.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you know, Bojo Banton. No, well, before even Bojo, Shabba Rankin, Supercat, you know, so he'll book them, he had me to the show, and then he'll tell me to go and outperform everybody. That's what, you know, his thing was like, go and kill them, you know, and, you know, I'm listening to every word, so when I go up there, I'm really going.
But my youth, so you haven't been on a stage like that before, and these artists are established.
Well, you know, you have to understand, I came up in Brooklyn, right? And, you know, I'm used to Billmore Ballroom. I'm used to Starlight Ballroom. I'm used to gunshots firing every single weekend, you know, like running and ducking gunshots, you know what I mean? So you're telling me to go kill, you know, I'm already in killing mode, you know, meaning that I wasn't going there killing people, but you know what I mean? I already had the fire. So, you know, if I feel like I need to go and, you know, put a strong performance where the big superstar acts at the time have to come really good after I leave the stage, you know what I mean? So, you know, whenever I performed, you know, like if a Shabba Rankin have to come on and close, then, you know, you will have to push
Step
harder.
his game up.
Yeah, you will have to step up, yeah.
Wow.
You know what I mean? But at the same time, I want to big them up because they totally embraced me. You know what I mean? Shabba Rankin, Supercat, they embraced me. They are a big reason why, you know, I got a lot of shine, because they didn't look at me as an artist that was living in New York. They accepted me as a artist that, you know, Jamaican reggae artist, and, you know, tell me that, you know, you're good. Like, you know, I respect you. You're very good at what you do. And they lift your confidence even higher.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
No, respect my youth.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, do you remember the first show you did? If you can go back, were you nervous? I'm talking about with Shabba. You know, you go on the stage, you know,
Yeah.
Shabba, Supercat
Yeah,
is on the
yeah,
lineup.
yeah.
By the way, where was the show? If you can remember.
We performed at the Ritz. We performed at the Underground nightclub. We performed at
What was the first show?
the first show with Shabba Rankin.
Yeah.
I think it was have to be probably, maybe it's the Underground nightclub, but no.
This is when Shabba was
When
big.
Shabba was hot, no, I performed with him at the Ritz, and I remember he was like sizzling hot. That was probably one of my first real nervous moment, you know, because he was so hot that when I was about to come on stage, before they introduced me to on stage, the crowd, the entire crowd was just Shabba Rank, Shabba, Shabba. And I'm like, whoa, what's gonna happen? Because I'm getting ready to come on. Are they gonna boo me, or what? You know, what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
So, but you know, David Levy is an incredible MC,
yeah.
and the way he introduced me coming on, once he mentioned the word Flatbush, the crowd has already erupted, because that's where I'm coming out of. And Flatbush, Brooklyn people was just there for me, like full strength.
You delivered.
And I delivered. You know, with Screechy Dan, we delivered that night, and the place erupted. And, you know, I think that's where I could say that, you know, I was on my way to, you know, sign into a major.
And wow, so thank you for taking us on that journey, my youth.
Respect.
So as you navigate that, your collaborations only got better after that, because I remembered, you know, you with a couple major artists,
Right.
as you continue to do your own solo thing,
Right.
and the connection with Shaggy. Where did that come from?
Well, I brought out Shaggy. You know, Shaggy was like, I would say, like a protege of mine. He was in the military. He was, you know, in North Carolina at the time, in the military, in the Marines. And, you know, at the time I had two songs. Like I had, you know, Jamaica Nights. I have a song called Jamaica Nights. So I was really, I was really like hot. And if you wanted to, you know, get into the right links, then you try to be my friend, pretty much.
Yeah.
No, Shaggy is a very ambitious guy. So he understands that I'm the dude that he needs to hang with in order to meet the right people. So, you know, he started to, you know, hang around. He used to drive out 9 hours from the military base all the way to Brooklyn just to sing at a party with me. And then he'd drive 9 hours back to base. You know, and I used to look at it like, this dude is really, really serious. So when they had the first war, the first George Bush war in Kuwait, and he told me he was going, I really felt nervous for him. So I felt the need, like I had to take him on every show that I was doing, because I didn't know if he was coming back. So I started taking him around all the shows and, you know, introducing him to all the producers, everybody that I was working with. I put him on to them, every single person, even the person that produced all the hits that he has, which is Sting International.
So, yeah.
I introduced him to Sting as well. And, you know, so that's how we met, you know what I mean?
So wow, let's just slow this down. And, you know, what's so funny is I want to salute you for being opening, because enough man at your level would have said to like a Shaggy, what you want? Because he's probably not bringing anything to the table at that time.
Right.
Which is interesting, because why did you embrace him?
Very interesting question, because I felt like I grew up kind of pretty much on my own. I had siblings, but I kind of felt like I grew up on my own. And he is the only child for his mother. So I embraced him like a brother. Not even as an artist, I embraced him like a brother. I felt that he was talented, but I was telling everybody, this is my brother. So I brought him around. In my brain, I'm like, this is my brother, and we're hanging, and it was like family for me. So whenever I gave him an opportunity, I felt like I was just giving my brother an opportunity. Because I have letters that he wrote me from Kuwait that I show him today. I showed him like probably a year ago, and he was shocked that I still have it. I was like, no, I embraced you like a brother.
Big.
Yeah.
Big up. Big up.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what's so funny to see how not only, because when I see you guys perform even in that Jamaica Nice, you know,
Love Me Jamaica.
Love Me Jamaica, you
Yeah.
know, the organic vibe and the energy
Same.
is felt like a brother. So
Right.
it makes sense.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
My boy REDFOX, SQR podcast. We're digging in and giving you some jewels from this artist that you've never even heard before. And that's what we do here, you know what I mean?
Yes, yeah.
Get right in. And I'm telling everybody, you know, as we get ready to wrap with REDFOX and finish up on a couple of things, he's gonna perform that joint you did.
Yeah. If you love reggae.
If you love reggae, that's coming up. We're gonna give you a splash of that and mix that in. But as we get ready to wrap, you know, your history is known. Your future.
Yes.
What are you working on?
Well, I have an EP coming out. I think the date is about May 24th. You know, it's a collaboration with Screechy Dan, you know, because I always wanted to do a project with Screechy Dan because he has been so instrumental in my career, you know, in all of us career. Shaggy, the whole crew, he's like a genius writer. And, you know, when we were writing songs, a lot of songs that we have and ideas, you know, Screechy, you know, he inspired a lot of us. And I always wanted to do something with him. So I finally got a project done with him, and it's a EP called Reset. And that's coming out in May. And then I also have a solo album that I'm working on.
Big. I can't end this podcast without asking you about the Ravon link.
Right.
Because everybody would be amazed at me. You know, I'm not bringing that up. So
Right.
share a little bit about that.
Well, Ravon, you know, is more now Shaggy, because whatever Shaggy did, he put Ravon on to sing.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? So as far as him and I doing the Bashman Party, you know, I wrote the song Bashman Party, and then I was gonna do it by myself, and then, you know, when I went to record it, you know, we thought about a thing. You know, Dave Kelly and I thought about a singer, and Shaggy actually said, "Why don't you use Ravon?" You know, and then I did. We went and picked him up, and you know, he read it right off the paper right there, like, you know, and did it. You know,
Very talented.
Yeah.
Very talented. Classic collaboration, by the way. Too.
Yeah.
Yo, SQR podcast, go Rosenberg, my boy REDFOX, and Red. I want to let you know, as I get ready to close this, you know, I always close with this question. I give you the magic wand. All right, boom. You can make any 2 changes.
Yeah.
Any 2 wishes you want, anything you want in this world.
Right.
The first wish, what do you want?
Well, you know, my first thing I would like to change is, you know, the minds of my people. You know, I feel like they have been in bondage so long by their mental, you know, and I wish that they would be able to see beyond all the oppression that they have been through and just embrace today, the present, so that they can actually see clearly what you're doing. I feel like, you know, majority of my brothers and sisters are living in something that does not exist. I feel like they're being like so manipulated by, you know, all the different things that they see on television, social media, all these different things, and they're actually not really looking at what's really real. So I hope, you know, I pray that the minds of the people
You reset it.
will reset.
My God, that was a powerful wish.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was a powerful wish. Your second wish.
You know, I mean, my second wish is I wish that is a long shot, but you know, we pray for world peace. You know, because with religion, you know, the world fighting because of religion, and the world fighting for all these different things that we have no idea exactly what's happening most of the time. So, you know, I wish that we all, you know, as the whole entire world could live in peace, but that's a long shot.
Wow. My boy REDFOX, SQR podcast, Score Rosenberg. And you know what's so funny, my youth? You know, I have to tell you, I've had quite a few guests sitting right where you are.
Yeah.
And your two wishes are probably top 2 or top 3 profound.
Thank you.
Because I understand the impact it makes, and I thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing this.
Yeah.
And as we get ready to close, you know, the catalyst for us even meeting and sitting here, our friend Andrea Wright, who passed
Andrea.
on.
Yeah.
You know, and I got to tell you, I love her like a sister.
Yes.
And get this chance to know you through
Yes.
her
Same.
and build.
Yes.
So as we get ready to close, let's lift these green bottles up.
Yeah, man.
Toast to this great union.
Andrea.
And to Andrea.
Yeah,
Yo,
man.
SQR podcast, Cole Rosenberg, my boy REDFOX. Yo, it's going to be a phenomenal journey, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to rock out on this. Let me tell you right now, we got something unique coming up. The Just for Fun, the Jamaican animation cartoon. As a matter of fact, it's the Caribbean animation cartoon that's premiering out of SQR Pro Studios. My boy REDFOX, SQR podcast, Cole Rosenberg. Thank you for tuning in. Enjoy this one. See you later, guys.
Well, it's Jack choosing. It's the people's music, and they can never refuse it. Special dedication to each and every one. REDFOX, music and mastering. Well, if you love, light us up for, put them up for, keep them up for. Yes, if you love, light us up for. Put them up for, keep them up for. Reggae music, yeah, it come from Jamaica. Heart and soul of the island bay. Straight from the land of girls and water. So you don't know, so the music sweet. Everybody love it from them, come on, yeah. Blind can't say it and the dumb can't speak. Reggae music and the kind of music. Down from your ear, just you move your feet. Reggae music, yeah, it make you dance. Make you go and bad, make you jump and prance. If you know, so you love good reggae music. And in the ear, would you show me the way? If you love, light us up for, put them up, keep them up. Yes, if you love, light us up for, put them up, keep them up for. Hear good reggae music, it make you want fly, go straight down from the island. Get some fish and festival, lucky and salvage. Go beach, put your feet on the sand. Make you want fly down a OG, climb up the fast, got a green shit, check the earth man. Gone on the news, I'm gonna check Bob Marley. Cause Jamaica, where we come from. Reggae music, yes, I it make you dance.